Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar this afternoon, hosted by Hatch and Nexstar. We're really excited to have you here. Today, we are going through the HVAC busy season playbook, talking about how to maximize revenue and minimize burnout. I'm going to give you guys a minute or so to trickle in here. As always, I always like to ask you guys to put in the chat your name, your role, your company, and also, if you feel like it, put in the chat what is your biggest challenge right now. I know we're kind of getting into the thick of busy season, so if you have any particular challenges that are really top of mind for you, feel free to put that in the chat as well. It always helps us to understand who we're talking to and what you're looking to get out of this webinar. We think we have a pretty good idea, but we like to let you guys kind of guide the discussion. I'll give us a minute. And you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and start. I'm going to put my name in the chat. Kristen, head of marketing. We'll do intros in a second. And I am in Boston. And you know what? I will just kind of, I'm going to usher us along because people always take a minute to come in here. Oh, here we go. Joanna, nice to see you, Joanna, marketing coordinator for NH Rost. Big issue having to reschedule many HVAC jobs that are low priority and overbooked. Great. Not great to hear that. That's a problem, but that's a really specific problem. And I love that you're looking to solve that. Derek, nice to see you here. Inside sales rep or lead coordinator at John Bedlam Heating and Cooling. Thank you for being here, Derek. Excited to have you. Okay, let me get started with, I'm going to say a little bit about Hatch, a little bit about myself, and then I'm going to let Zach introduce himself. We're really excited to have him here. My name is Kristen. I'm the head of marketing at Hatch. For those of you on the call, so we have a mix in this audience today of people that are using Hatch and people that are not yet using Hatch. And we have Nexstar members on the call and we have non-Nexstar members on the call. So regardless of where you're at in that journey, you are more than welcome here. We are, everybody's welcome here. For those of you who aren't aware what Hatch is, we are a customer communication platform enabling you to scale revenue-driving conversations across SMS, email, and live call. What does that actually mean? What I like to say is revenue-driving conversations. It's not necessarily like, hey, like you get on and you have like the best call of your life and you close a sale. Revenue-driving conversations are just basically like all of the conversations that happen across the customer journey that contributes to revenue, because if you provide a good experience, you get them to convert, you get them to stay loyal, you get them to refer you to other customers. Those are the revenue driving conversations. Those are the building blocks. So Hatch enables you to scale those conversations. Okay, cool. Zach, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell us about Nexstar.
Perfect. Thank you. My name is Zach Klinger. I am a digital marketing coach at Nexstar. For those that don't know, Nexstar is a member-owned organization that drives business growth and development through the continued education and just general sharing of ideas. How can we better help each other grow our businesses? We have 14 different coaching categories. We have 40 plus different coaches. We're at about 1,000 members right now. So we are here truly to help you. Our mission is to turn the world's best tradespeople into the world's best business people. Truly, that's what we live by as an organization. A little bit about myself. Before starting at Nexstar, I was with a company called Northern Tool and Equipment, where I would run Google ads and Meta ads, as well as Bing ads. And I would talk with all three organizations really on a weekly basis. I was also a marketing manager for a company called Winmark, which is the franchisor of a few different retail brands. Played Against Sports, Once Upon a Child, Plato's Closet, if you've ever heard of them. And then I spent some time at an agency, a marketing agency, for about 7 years. And then I have an MBA with a concentration in social media marketing. So I have truly lived the digital marketing world, and I'm really happy to be here today.
Yeah, excited to have you here, Zach. And the Hatch and Nexstar partnership is a strong one, and we know that our members love Nexstar. And Yeah, I think I might have some more questions specifically about Nexstar, which I'll save. I'll save for the Q&A. I know this isn't for me. But thank you guys for putting in your name and where you're from and your role in the chat. Also a reminder, if you have a specific challenge that you're dealing with, specifically related to busy season, I'd love to hear it. So feel free to put all your gripes and your challenges in there. And just to go back 2 slides to remind you, we are here for the HVAC busy season playbook. So the idea is actually, you know what, let's just do we want to launch into it? I was going to just do a quick little, what time is it? It's 2:05. People have had enough time to file in. We're talking about the HVAC busy season playbook because volume is good, but the more leads you get doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get more business. And so, you know, we talk to a lot of businesses, ones that we're currently working with and ones that we're looking to get on board with Hatch. And sometimes they're like, I can't even talk right now. I'm so busy, which, you know, that is a thing. But the goal of this webinar is to kind of equip you with the right playbook to be able to manage that higher volume and also to really capitalize on it, because you can get a lot coming through, but if you're not fully capitalizing it, you're not really setting yourself up to actually get the highest ROI possible out of busy season. So we're going to be talking about that today. I'm going to kind of distill things down into about like a 5-step playbook, and Zach and I are just going to kind of go off of each other on what we think about each touch point in the customer journey. And I also want to encourage you guys to ask questions and add commentary throughout, because this is designed to be helpful for you and also for you guys to help each other. So again, Zach was talking about the sharing of ideas. That's really where people can really succeed. So keep that in mind. All right, so we kind of went through the agenda, but just to give you a big picture overview, I'm going to talk about the expansion trap. We're going to talk about the touch points, mapping those out across the customer journey, and then what best practice communication looks like across the customer journey. In particular, we're going to cover speed to lead and estimate follow-up, because those are really key, especially during busy season. And then we're going to talk about preparing for the long game. Throughout, we're going to talk about kind of the right mindset to have, particularly with regard to not just driving business, but satisfying your customer and taking care of your customer. Then we'll wrap it all up, and we'll also have time for Q&A. Like I said, ask questions throughout. We may address questions that are particularly relevant to what we're talking about as they come in, and then the rest of them we can answer later. I'm just going to quickly check the chat here. Lacey, Aaron, Lauren, Shelly, Noah, Adam, great to have you guys here. We really appreciate you coming on board. Feel free to ask any questions that you have. All right, I think we're ready to get started. Okay, so I put together this little visual because what we like to talk about here at Hatch is the expansion trap. And yes, those are my little rudimentary, like flame and propane. That's I don't know, that gasoline. Propane would be like the white thing, right? So I just want to quickly go over this kind of cycle that happens. So in our mind, conversations really are at the root. They're at the root of your business growth, but also can be at the root of your challenges. So if you have a lot of customers and leads that you're talking to and you can't keep up with those conversations, conversation quality and reply times decline, which is basically your customer experience. Set close and retention rates drop, which means revenue drops. And then what we typically find is that the solutions people put into place to make up for that revenue loss actually just fuel the fire. So you may buy more leads, which then contributes to just still having more conversations that you can't keep up with, or you hire more people and that's expensive. So that brings you to your revenue, your money loss, or you kind of cobble together these different automation setups, which just cost time, which is also money, and that just fuels the problem. So that kind of gets you stuck in this place of like, what we're doing to solve it is actually perpetuating the problem. So that's kind of what Hatch is built around, is enabling you to keep up with that conversation volume. And so that's kind of the foundation that I want to set there in terms of like mapping out these customer touch points and capitalizing on busy season. Zach, I'm gonna ask you, do you have any thoughts here on my on my fire and gasoline?
No, it's perfect. Oftentimes you're right. I mean, we buy more leads, but then we're not able to keep up with it all. And that's a huge problem. And then oftentimes we're forgetting about our existing customers,
Yep.
right? Truly, the people that have brought us to where we are, or were part of our busy season last year, we forget about, and then they're going somewhere else. So how can we make sure that we stay top of mind with them, that they are taken care of, and that we are truly ready for busy season?
Yep, for sure. And I know you and I were talking earlier, like, it's not just about managing this volume of new customers coming in. It's also taking care of your existing customers. And like, a little bit of a spoiler alert, but if you take care of your existing customers with spring tune-ups, they may not be coming to you with all these SOSs in the summer, which can enable you to kind of get in some more volume. So there's always moving parts and pieces here. And if you take care of one area, other areas will take care of themselves. So that all comes down to conversations. The question is, what are the best businesses doing to fully capitalize on busy season? So this is sort of the start of the playbook. We've kind of organized it into like a more digestible part. We know the customer journey has a lot of touch points, but this should just give you a good framework. I also want to point out here that yes, Hatch is designed to carry out this playbook, but we're not telling you to use this playbook because Hatch does it. We've built Hatch because this is the playbook that works. So you can take these strategies and use them in whatever tools that you have. If you want to use Hatch to do it, you may find that it makes it easier for you. Or if you're using another tool to do it, great. Or maybe you're not using any of these strategies and you just want to implement one or two of them. So I just want to clear that up as well. All right, so the first step is to map out your touch points. This might feel pretty obvious. The thing is, a lot of times information exists in our head, especially when you're close to the business. You're like, I know what my customer touch points are, and you may, but without them being fully documented out, you would be surprised at the difference it can make when you document this out. Because then you're like, oh, what about this touch point? What about this when they do book? Or what about when they come into your business and then they say hi and then they don't book? And then who's owning what? So step number one, it may feel simple, but like actually map this out. Because each touch point represents either an opportunity for your business to impress that customer and take care of them and turn them into long-term value, or it could potentially just be a leak in your funnel. I know, Zach, you and I were talking about this too, like with, kind of reversing the thing of not just being like, hey, this is the touch point and here's what I want to do here, but like actually identifying the objective for each one.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to map out the entire customer journey. It's not just tactics, right? So oftentimes we just start off with the tactics, right? We have to your point that we were talking about earlier, it's working your way backwards, right? We have to look at what is the strategy? What are the goals that we have in place? What do we want the customer to do next? And then we are able to utilize different tactics to help customers guide them down the funnel, if you will, and guide them to purchase and become a lifelong customer.
Yep, for sure. I also, in my blue section here, I want to put a big disclaimer. I know this is not representative of your full customer journey. This is literally a very distilled version, and it's like very focused on the busy season touch points. By the way, you will get this deck, and we'll share a written recap with links to the resources that are provided in here. I'm going to quickly just what I did, because I've seen people do this, and also this is kind of a good way to map out what the Hatch platform does, but this will allow you to do it on your own. Let me see if I can, bear with me one second here. So I'm going to put a link in the chat to a template that you can use, and I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Okay. You guys can see my screen, right?
Yes, we can, that Excel file.
Okay, perfect. So this is a lot to look at, but that's kind of the point. we know that the customer journey has a lot of touch points. And not only that, but for each touch point, you need to conduct a lot of communication at each touch point. And we'll get to that in a second. But I just want to kind of show you that, like, this is what it looks like to really document it out. And the link that I'll put in the chat allows you to download this, and then you can customize it to your liking. But, if you're zooming in here, like, filled out a form, booked an appointment, didn't book an appointment, called you, but like couldn't get in touch with you, has an upcoming appointment. It's not just, oh, they got their estimate. It's like, maybe they got their estimate, they didn't respond. Maybe they got their estimate and they only signed for like half of it. Or maybe they got the estimate and you didn't hear from them for 3 months. So I think this is a helpful tool to, even if you don't use it entirely, you can use it to kind of shape and mold what you want to do. But the point is, what Zach is saying is, like, there's a strategy here, and each touch point has a very specific type of intent for the customer side and an intent on your side. And I think mapping it out is the first step to really making sure that you're optimizing each step. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to go back to the slides. Does anybody have any questions on mapping out these touch points? I know it's pretty straightforward, but feel free to put that in the chat. And on the same token, Zach, did you have any other thoughts on this?
The more that you can map out, the better, truly. So being able to utilize a tool like this, or utilize this exact tool, please do. Don't just think of tactics as the main source, right? You think about the campaign, the full journey. So the more that you can map out to see if there's any bottlenecks or where there's opportunity, or to just really get that close for the sale. It's all has to be mapped out.
Totally. Just even thinking about, like, when you're doing like a whiteboard session in a meeting with people, and you put something physically onto paper or on a board or on a screen, now you have things you can point to, and that just makes a big difference. So if you are experiencing, maybe you don't know where the bottlenecks are, but like you have this written out, I think it just gives you a good framework to make sure that your strategy is tightened up. All right, so that is your touch points. Okay, so now for each touch point, you want to pair that with best practice outreach. So Zach mentioned something earlier about the customer journey, and we know that these touch points kind of represent your funnel, but you're not pushing them through your funnel. You want to see yourself as a guide. Of course, like, this is a business. You want to make money. You want customers. That's totally normal and good and valid. And if you didn't think that way, then I don't know what you'd be doing in business. But one thing we talk about is, like, you're not selling to people. You're helping them buy. And so throughout the journey, this best practice outreach, yes, it's designed to increase conversion for you. But if you think about it in the right mindset of, I'm going to help guide this customer through the journey, and I'm going to follow up with them at each step, because like their only thing, it's not like their only job for that day is book an appointment to get an HVAC system installed. They have a lot of other things going on. So the more that you can think of it like that, like, hey, I'm following up here. I want to, like, if this is what you need, I want to help you get there. I think that's a good mindset to have, to ensure that you're not only having the right touch points and cadences, but your messaging is on.
Absolutely. You absolutely have to guide them versus push them. My 2-year-old loves to get up from the table when it's dinner time and go play. When really it's dinner time, you got to sit down and eat. Now I can tell him all day long, go sit at the table, go eat, or even pick him up and put him at the table back in his booster seat, but he's still going to get up.
Right.
Instead, I'm going to guide him, tease him. Oh no, I'm going to eat your sandwich now. He'll shout no, and then run from the couch to the table and go eat. So it's guiding them, right? And helping them discover really what they want, and what they're hoping to get. Let them discover on their own, but you can guide them through that discovery. Is crucial. So you can't force them, you can't push them, you can't pull. It's let them move on their own, but you can guide them to that.
Yep, exactly. And you make some good points here, like asking questions. And these are all great kind of sales conversation tactics of, like, find out what they need and help them find the right solution for them. But you can't get there unless you get them to sit down and have a conversation with you. So to the same point of like you having your son run off, like think of your customers as little, how old is your son, Zach?
My youngest is 2. The one that loves to get up, he's 2.
All right. So picture your customers as like a bunch of 2-year-olds. They're getting up from the table. The table is your funnel because they just want to go off and play and do, and like, you're just like, hey, question, like, do you want to solve your problems or not? So bringing them back to the table. And that's what these touch points are for. They're designed to keep people focused on what they need without making them do the work. So all that being said, best practice outreach. So what this looks like at each touch point is going to vary, but we've done enough research and worked with enough businesses to kind of have like a basic playbook down of what best practice communication looks like. And actually I changed it to outreach because again, the whole point is there's a lot of tendency to like, if somebody fills out a form, you send them an email or a text and you give them all this information all at once because you're like, I want them to book an appointment. But if you actually just focus on getting a response, that's actually, lowering friction during the customer journey, just asking for a simple thing. Hey, respond to my message. Don't ask them to wade through a bunch of information. So anyway, the kind of formula for best practice outreach is that it's prompt. So, for speed to lead, that's going to be instantly as soon as they fill out a form. For estimate, it's going to be, 1 to 2 days after the estimate. It depends based on the touch point, but make sure it's on time. Make sure it's personalized. So again, catered to that touch point. If they filled out a form on Angie, hey, saw that you got your information from Angie. What can I help you with? Or maybe, hey, thanks for filling out a form on our website. Or, hey, you met with so-and-so yesterday. How did that appointment go? The more you can personalize it, the better. Short and response oriented. So again, instead of being like, hey, thanks for filling out a form. We are, we get this many 5-star reviews and we're family owned and operated and we've been around, like that's all great information, but you're asking them to do too much if you're asking them to really read and digest information. End with a question. What can I help you with? And we'll get into like what that can look like for each touch point. And then the two probably most important are that you're using multiple channels in multiple days. Because again, they are going to want to keep getting up from the table and they're not totally focused. But if you can rein them back in, just gentle nudges, you can get them to respond. So yeah, any feedback on that, Zach?
No, that's perfect. It definitely has to be personalized and make it seem like you as a business is a person and reaching out to your customers on a personal level. Yep. And so oftentimes with these different channels and tactics, SMS, email, calling, whatever it may be, when we're outreaching, we're only calling customers when we need them, right? How can we showcase that we are there for their benefit? Maybe getting a hold of these customers before the busy season. How can we make sure and brand ourselves in a way, talk to our customers that we are truly there for them, that you can help solve their problems and not just constantly selling to them. Because how often are we getting sales emails in our inbox that's just filling our inbox and then we're unsubscribing, we're not in communication with them? How can we make sure that we are reaching out to our customers in the way they want to be reached out to and showcasing that we are providing value to them and not just trying to sell them another service?
Totally. And another way I like to look at it is like, by reaching out, there is sometimes hesitation. Like, I don't want to reach out that many times over that many channels. But again, people are busy and distracted, and you give them a lot of chances to, instead of saying, hey, I need to fish through my inbox to find that email, I need to fish through, like you can then just resurface yourself and be like, hey, are you there? And then they can come back and they can also respond to you on whatever channel is best for them.
Spot on.
So best practice outreach, I think we kind of talked about most of this, but notice that this is mainly for outreach. Like I said, the goal is to get a response, not an appointment. This kind of varies. I know we have people on the call that are using Hatch, and in some cases, your message will just be like, hey, you can book an appointment here, and you click on the link. If you're using it in the traditional manner where person fills out a form, you send your automated outreach message, that in general is designed to get them to respond, because when they respond, then you can engage in that two-way conversation. And like Zach said, you can find out what their problems are. You can make it more about them than about you. But the point is, you want to get, you just want them to respond. That makes it really low friction, a really low commitment ask, and then you can engage them from there. We talked about the conversation, and then, yeah, so what does that look like? So it's going to vary by touch point. The two most popular, and Zach, you may attest to this, like when you're talking to members, regardless of whether they're using Hatch, I'm assuming that if you get into the marketing realm of things, speed to lead and estimate follow-up are probably their two biggest focal points.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, speed to lead, get a hold of your customers as quick as possible when they reach out to you. Ideally, under a minute, would you say?
Yeah.
No more than 5, but really get a hold of them somehow in under a minute. And then those estimate follow-ups, that's been the biggest thing I've seen when it comes to ROI. You want to talk about estimate follow-ups and sending out that communication. When there's an estimate out there, those customers have asked you to come up to their house for a reason, or they asked for an estimate for a reason. Stay in touch with them, stay top of mind, and finally get them to book. It's going to take multiple interactions, but those estimate follow-ups, I've just seen crazy amount of ROI with that, specifically with Hatch. And our Nexstar members that are using Hatch with estimate follow-ups, I mean, it's a game changer for them, truly game changer. So that's a huge opportunity for those in the HVAC industry.
Yeah, love to hear that. All right, so speed to lead. So again, there's links here on the slide, and I did a data study a while back of, I forget how many speed to lead campaigns, but we were just examining. We know we have the playbook down, but we always like to double check and look at the best performing and worst performing campaigns. So what this is showing you is, I found actually, let me skip ahead. Is it 2 slides? Yeah, let's look at this chart first. So on the far right, we have response rate. So again, we like to focus on getting the response first, because everything else will follow from there. When you map out your response rates across campaigns, the average is about 60%, which is great. If you're getting average, okay, but you could also be doing better. As you can see, there are businesses, fewer, that are getting 80, even 90% response rates. So what are they doing that makes them best in class? And so that's kind of what this data study was looking to do, is like, what are these top performing campaigns doing? And of course, your response rates and your set rates do vary depending on where's the lead coming from. Is it coming directly from your website? Did they have high intent and they went to your website, they had heard of you before and they fill out a form? Are they coming from Angie, where they may have lower intent, Google LSA? It all kind of depends. There's a lot of different factors involved. Your brand awareness, that's all involved. But we're just kind of simplifying it down to who's getting the response. So on the left is, here is the campaign that got the highest response rates, and here's the one that got the lowest response. So naturally, people that reached out only once with a really long text message didn't get good responses. That makes sense. So that's pretty obvious there. And then what did the people do that were getting, what are the people doing that are getting the responses? The ones that are using our templates are the ones that are succeeding. Because again, these templates are not like, hey, we've designed the templates because we've seen what works. And in this case, it was 7 messages sent over 5 days. There were no pauses in between. And so 7 messages, that means, I think it's 5 texts and 2 emails. And then the character count. The ideal character count for a text message is 160 characters. With compliance, there's requirements there that just make it a little bit hard to keep it down. You have to say your business name. You have to give them the option to opt out. So we've bumped that up to about 250 characters. And again, it ends with a clear ask that requires a very simple answer. Like, what can I help you with today? Or is now a good time to chat? And then this next slide is just showing, this is the verbiage. This is actually the verbiage of the template that we have in our platform that helps to get the response. So notice it's very quick, it's very digestible, and then it keeps following up until that customer responds. And like Zach said, really reaching out reaching out right away is key, because we know that many lead aggregators are, when a customer fills out a form, they're actually giving that lead to multiple businesses at once. So being able to get to that lead as soon as possible is really important. Anything I'm missing here on speed to lead, Zach?
No, nothing that you're missing. Being able to utilize the templates that you have, that you created. Like you said, it's not coming out of nowhere. You are creating this playbook that you've seen results with, that nobody utilizing the playbook's a guinea pig by any means.
Exactly.
So having those multiple touch points, and reaching out to them in under a minute in that very first touch point will truly drive some awesome results and some good success.
Yeah, totally. And also in the data study, I should just be putting these in the chat. There is a messaging best practices playbook, because again, there's still room for creativity here, right? It doesn't mean that exact messaging is the only messaging that's going to work, but the point is, like, it needs to be short, it needs to be digestible, and it needs to kind of be compliant. So I'm going to start putting these links in here now. Actually, let's pause for a second. So this is the journey. This is the customer journey map. Let's put this link in here. And then this is the speed to lead data study that, where is it? This is the speed to lead data study. So this has a lot more information on those benchmarks, and also has links to templates that you can use. And then we're going to cover, the next one we're going to cover is estimate follow-up. We did the same thing for estimate follow-up campaigns. I'm going to put that in there now too. All right, so estimate follow-up. So just to recap, map out your touch points. Think of it as guiding the customer through the journey and keeping them focused, but not forcing them. And then match up best practice communication at each one, focusing mainly on the response. And then we just talked about speed to lead best practices. Now we're talking about estimate follow-up best practices. And this chart is actually pretty representative of what Zach said, that the estimate follow-up is really where a lot of members find the most value with Hatch, especially for HVAC, because following up on estimates just is like not something that anybody wants to do, right? Technicians are going out there, they're doing their on-site estimate, and then they may follow up once or twice, but they have new estimates that they're going after. You have other people that are managing they're kind of doing the lead management and the estimates at the same time. So they may not have time to follow up on the estimates because they're bringing in new leads. In general, I think it's like 80% of sales take between 6 and 11 touches to get a close. And that may be across industries, but people really give up after 1 to 2 touches, but things actually take off much later on in the journey. And that's really where the crux is for Hatch, because it does that outreach for you so that you're not having to do it. Same thing for estimate follow-up. So the best performing campaign, in this case, the worst performing campaign wasn't just a one message thing. They actually had a pretty good cadence of, a day when a message went and then a pause and a message went. But I think there was a little bit too much pausing in between. And then the messaging just, again, time and time again, I find that the campaigns that are not performing great are the ones that aren't using our templates. So in general, the one that we found works was 7 messages over 7 days. It had 2 pause days in between. It was 5 texts and 2 emails, similar character count. And then again, the same concept applies, that if doesn't mean that you have to stick to this exact messaging. But as long as you're following the best practices, and that is linked, let me put that in the chat as well. Any thoughts, Zach, on estimate follow-up? Any comments like from members, like any particular challenges they've had with estimate follow-up that you can think about right now? Or
the biggest challenge that I would see initially would be, to your point that you brought earlier, was that they'd be doing 2 touches and think that's enough, and that they were concerned that they were reaching out to their customer too many times. Well, what we've seen, and you've shown the results, that it does take 7+ different touches for things to really pick up. I mean, companies in the HVAC industry are spending hundreds of dollars to acquire leads, right? And we can't let those leads just go and disappear after one or two estimate touches. Stay on top of it. Keep reaching out to these customers with open estimates. And we've just seen, as the results have shown, that it takes off. It really does. And that you have to stay top of mind. Use multiple different channels, right? We see text and emails here, and the ones with the best response rate. 7 messages, 7 days. It takes a little while with the touches, but you will see significant results as showcased here.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing is kind of taking that risk of, I don't want to spend my time following up on somebody that's not interested if I could be chasing after a lead that is fresh and new. And that feels a little bit risky, but to your point, Zach, just give it a chance and put the time into doing it, and you will most likely get the results you want to see. Of course, if you have a tool to automate it, that then lowers the risk because now you're not having to put the time in. I think about John Wilson when I talked to him, the biggest thing he was saying was because Hatch is doing that outreach, but really his team, his inside sales team is just now only interfacing with the people who respond. So you actually get to almost double your output of messages without actually having to do any of the work. So
love it.
We have 2 templates that work in our platform for estimate follow-up. One is more, we call it the feedback approach. And that's like, hey, my job is to follow up and see how your appointment went, which is great because that's very low. It's not really asking them much. It's just asking, how was that appointment? Did we treat you well? Because it's an estimate appointment, but that's very important. Did your technician present you with the options? Did you have a good experience? The other one is more direct. It's like, hey, we left behind some estimates. Do you have any questions on that? So we have 2 templates in our platform. And again, in the links that we provided, we have those templates available. But I do find that that's another thing that, HVAC businesses, they may think that if it didn't close in the home, it's not going to close. But actually, sometimes we found that people will send out the message like, hey, how was your visit? Did you get what you needed? Or question on the quote. And they're like, I didn't get a quote. So it's kind of funny. You can also uncover opportunities to make that estimate appointment better just from getting feedback from customers. All right, for the long game. So Zach mentioned earlier that if you're taking care of your customers before busy season, that can also kind of reduce the load during busy season. And on a similar note, you want to be preparing these leads and customers, anybody that you engage with during busy season, even if you don't get them to book an appointment or close during busy season, how can you set yourself up to keep getting value out of these leads when the peak is over, right? So there's a number of different touch points here. Again, you can add this to your spreadsheet of touch points. But think in terms of the long game. During busy season, you may not be mining your database, but when busy season passes, you are going to be looking for opportunities. So are you setting up yourself to be able to reach out to these contacts later? For example, age leads that never booked. Hey, we never got a chance to schedule your appointment. Do you still need that service, or are you interested in something different now? Age estimates that never closed. People, sometimes they will accept a part of an estimate. Hey, we did this part of your system, but we didn't do this. Where are you at with that? Maintenance and memberships, and then cross promotion. So this is, we have templates for that as well. But again, thinking about the entire journey as one, like Zach said earlier, is really, so busy season is not just the businesses that really capitalize on busy season aren't just the ones that are converting leads during busy season. They're setting themselves up to extract value later on down the line. Would you agree with that, Zach?
Yeah, absolutely. sometimes customers reach out to you mid busy season and then they don't book anything with not just you, but anybody. And then there's ways, as mentioned here, that you can get a hold of them after the busy season. Maybe you can still service them. Maybe you can turn that lead that you reached out to and later on got a booked appointment with to be a long-term customer. And then you're doing installs with them because they trust you so much. There's ways to cross promote. So no, everything that you listed going for the long game is perfect.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that again, like that idea of just taking care of your customers, thinking about it holistically is really the way to go. There was something that just came up in my head and now I lost my train of thought. It'll come back. We talked about speed to lead, estimate follow-up, the long game. It'll come back. All right. A few other notes on this. Hatch allows you to automate this. It's not the only tool that allows you to automate this. So what's really important is properly dispositioning your CRM. Make sure that your team is set up to know, like, here's what this process is, because then you can have clean data to work with and you can do targeting. I have an image here of what it looks like to create an audience in Hatch. So you can go really granular, but this tool isn't going to help you if you don't actually have the data accurate in your database. So I just want to point that out. That's a really key thing. And then also, make sure the people that are there are providing that experience. You can create a really good customer experience by like communicating and the people that are in the office. But what is that experience like, again, when they're with you in person? And are your technicians set up to actually promote the maintenance plan? Is that built into their kind of script when they go out there? So I don't know if you had any other thoughts, Zach, on like ways to set yourself up for long-term nurture.
No, I mean, the CRM data has got to be up to date. Keep that as clean and updated as possible. The promoting maintenance programs, remember, as you brought up earlier, you're in it for the long game. So can these maintenance calls become installs? And if an install does happen, right, how can you continue maintaining that customer and then be able to service them some other time, some other way in the future? And then the third point there, make sure that you're providing a great in-person experience is crucial. You have to cross the finish line. For example, I used to work for a newspaper company. And I would do everything I could with talking with clients and get them to run an ad through the paper. This is dating me a little while, right? I mean, in the newspaper industry. But, we would talk with our different clients. We would have, our customers all lined up on who we're going to service. People subscribed to our newspaper. And then the delivery person who actually had the paper would throw that paper sometimes into the bush. And then our customers would not get or read the paper. They'd unsubscribe, whatever it may be, right? And so all the hard work that we did on our end, right? All the printers were working just fine and our operations team was working really hard. We got the advertisers, the journalists made the articles, what have you. But it all just came to a grinding halt because we couldn't cross that finish line by throwing the paper in the bush. So you have to provide that great in-person experience to be able to have that repeat business. Give them a reason to do business with you again.
Totally. I'm also thinking about, one thing that Josh Campbell in my call with him from Rescue Air was that it's almost a paradoxical effect. Like once they implemented Hatch, because the way they had it set up was, after the estimate appointment happens, those reps or technicians have a day or two to do their own follow-up. And then if they don't follow up, then Hatch steps in and does it. But also knowing that Hatch was going to say, hey, how was your appointment? It's made them start having better in-home visits. Like it used to be very cookie cutter. Like they'd go in, they'd leave 3 estimates and they leave. They go to the next house, they leave 3 estimates and they leave. But once they knew that customers were giving feedback, it just naturally caused them to run better appointments. And then also the sales reps are like, well, I'm going to reach out before Hatch does, because like I don't want Hatch taking my lead for me. So it was funny because it was like you implement Hatch and they start doing a better job, but then you take Hatch away and they fall by the wayside. So you can't really get around it. Wrapping it up. So we've kind of already got this into a good enough kind of cohesive story, but just to recap, map out your customer journey touch points. Well, actually the first thing is remember the expansion trap. If you have a bad process, if you add more leads to it, if you add more people to a bad process, you're just fueling the fire. So map out your customer journey touch points so that you can have ownership, visualize it, point to things, name things, have intentional messaging there. Pair that with best practice communication. So that includes the intentional messaging, but also reaching out multiple times, using multiple channels, not having them wade through a bunch of information. Prioritizing in-season touch points, of course, especially the people that need help now, but setting yourself up for off-season. Are you just positioning your CRM properly? Do you have the communications in place to actually reach out to these leads 3 months, 6 months down the line? Or customers, hey, do you want to be part of our membership program? Hey, do you want to schedule your recurring service? And then have the right mindset. So I guess that's two things. Number one is lean into automation to help you out with these things. And you're not pushing them through the journey, you are guiding them. Did I forget anything there, Zach, or am I good?
You are good.
Great. Okay, cool. So we have time left. So if you guys have questions, please put them into the chat. Any questions? So you can ask about Hatch, you can ask about Nexstar, you can ask about best practices, messaging. We welcome any and all questions. And also, while you are thinking of your questions, I'm going to launch this poll. So you'll see something come up on your screen. If you want to learn more about Hatch, you can choose option A. If you want to learn more about Nexstar, choose option B. If you want both, choose option C. And the way this will work is somebody will reach out to you from one or the other or both to help you with what you need help with. Note that if you're an existing Hatch customer, you can also choose this option. If you're like, hey, I've been meaning to get in touch with my account manager about a campaign I want to build out, or hey, I am interested in AI, feel free to raise your hand there. Same thing for Nexstar. Maybe you are already a Nexstar member, but you just want to talk to somebody and get in touch. I'm also going to put a link in the chat here. Again, we'll send out a recap with these links as well. But this is a link for Nexstar. If you want to get in touch, you can also directly do it there as well. I'm not seeing questions come through right this moment, but Zach, I have a few for you about Nexstar, if you don't mind.
Bring it, absolutely.
Yeah, so I know that you and I, our partnership is based primarily around the marketing component, right? And and we're not like you guys will recommend different strategies and tools and things like that for marketing. But can you talk about some of the other areas? I think you said it was like how many different areas? A lot of different areas.
It's roughly 14 different coaching categories, if you will. Whether you're a business owner and you want help with your overarching business help, looking at overhead and everything along those lines, business coaches are there to help you, and they're your main touch points. We have implementation coaches, which are coaches that help you with your techs and your team. We have not only digital marketing coaches, but marketing strategy coaches as well. We have software coaches, like if you're using Service Titan, if you need help with the software itself, we can help you there. Accounting coaches, recruiting coaches, like if you want help with on the recruiting side, so many different categories, everything that you could possibly think of to help you, your business, if you are specific HVAC, or if you offer multiple trades for the home service industry, we are truly here to help you with whatever you need. We want to see you grow your business, which is why this partnership with Hatch is phenomenal. because we both work very hard just to see you as a business grow. And we've seen some pretty awesome results.
Yeah, love that. And then how does it work? Like, do members meet? I guess two questions. Is it like hey, you meet with, do you have like one point of contact and you meet with them monthly, and then, or is it like, hey, I want to talk to the implementation coach on this thing, and I want to talk to, like, do you have like one main person for, if you're a member, do you have one main person that you talk to?
The main person you'll probably talk to is the business coach. However, you can talk to any of your 14 different coaches at any time. You could set up with a monthly meeting with all 14 of them if you want. They, it would be a lot of meetings, but it's possible. You can schedule meetings with any of your coaches at any time. You don't have to always go directly through the business coaches if they are an account rep, right? Or if there's specific teams, like if you're an owner and you have a marketing team, have your director of marketing or your marketing manager contact Nexstar. We are happy to help you in whatever way we can.
Cool. So if you're a member, you basically are like, here's your list of coaches for each area, and you can kind of just reach out to them if you need them.
That's right. You can set up reoccurring meetings. You can reach out to them when you need to. We can help you create full-on marketing strategies through different on-sites and audits, and look at your website and whatever it may look. We offer trainings and in-house too. So you could fly out to a different member shop. There are times when you could come to Minnesota for a big workshop. The whole gamut. There's a big super meeting coming up pretty soon, and I know Kristen, you will be there, where all the members basically get together and hear from guest speakers like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He will be there this year speaking. So it's going to be a pretty cool event. So there's multiple different ways for you to contact and get a hold of different coaches and just truly grow your business.
That's great. We have a question here from Adam. I think I have an answer to this, Adam. So can we create a campaign to send out information about our membership for non-members and financing information for estimates after a call is booked in Service Titan? So do you mean like after, when you say a call is booked, do you mean like a service call or like an estimate appointment? Maybe some clarification on that. So I'll give you a second to clarify that. But the simpler answer is yes, you can create you can basically create a campaign based on any CRM data. And you have, I think you didn't, in Service Titan. So it should be possible. And yes, you can create campaigns about we have templates for promoting your membership campaign, reminding them that their membership is about to expire, reminding them that their membership is going to renew. Same thing for financing information. And then, so financing for after a call. So yeah, I think that's, as long as there's a disposition you can target for that, Adam, you should be good. But I'll let you kind of clarify that. It always
that's awesome to have so many different audiences to be able to select from too, right? Being able to say, here's our non-members, let's promote our membership to them. Because somebody that's already a part of your membership is not going to want to receive that type of text.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
To have that audience that Hatch is able to segment out is awesome.
Yep, for sure. And that just goes back to, again, catering your touch points so that you can do like mass marketing blast. We do offer that capability. But really, like the main value of Hatch is being able to do those one-to-one kind of conversations. Okay, I'm not seeing the clarification from Adam, so I'll still give you some time because it might just be delayed. Any other questions from the audience? I think those were my main questions on Nexstar. And if they want to learn more, they can go to that link, and they also can raise their hand in the poll. Any questions from me, Zach, or are you good?
Trying to think of one. I had one earlier. But I'm blanking on it.
pressure's on now.
Right.
Yeah.
Any specific good spots on the Hatch website for your different resources? Is there a resource page? Where can somebody go to find all these different templates in one spot? Say they forget about a certain template and they see it in this resource section and they're like, oh, this is perfect. You need specific spots there.
Yes. If you go to our homepage, there's a resources button at the top, and that'll take you to all of our ebooks. I'm pretty sure, I know there's filterable options on like whether it's templates or ebooks and checklists and things like that. So that's one place. The other thing is if you go to our blog, we have blog posts, but you can also subscribe because we will send out like as we create resources. Yes, Andrew just put it in the chat. As we create resources, we do email them out. So if you're subscribed to our newsletter, you can get them that way. And then I know for you guys, Zach, we're working on this, but members will have access because we've got a doc of, kind of curated resources that we think are probably the most popular, that would be most pertinent to Nexstar members. So if you are a Nexstar member, feel free to ask your coach about getting that list, because we'll be happy to supply that for you. Awesome. All right. Well, I don't see any more questions, Adam. It looks like you're all set. If you do have any further questions, Adam, feel free to reach out. I can get you connected to your account manager or support if you're needing help setting up those campaigns. I want to thank everybody for showing up today. Zach, really appreciate your time and your insights here. Like I said, you'll get the recording sent out, and we'll also do a blog post that kind of recaps everything. So I think we're good. Thank you again, guys, and have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Kristen. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.